This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
The government shouldn't step between me and my counselor. That's not their role.
Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. In trade, as in hockey, Canada will win.
I've been doing this for a very long time. That's the first time a tornado has hit me while I'm doing the weather.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. We are 20 degrees above the norm outside. It is 62 and sunny in Binghamton, 61 in Altoona, Pennsylvania. These little people opted to shed their winter coats and hit the playground after school.
I love enjoying the warm weather because I get to take off my heavy coat.
But winter lovers, don't fret. We'll be back at 40 degrees for a high by Wednesday. Your forecast coming up in a few minutes with our own Kevin Williams. Gay conversion therapy hit the U.S. Supreme Court this morning. Should kids and teenagers be offered training out of the gay lifestyle? Focus on the family weighing in.
The government shouldn't step between me and my counselor. That's not their role.
The High Court deciding to take up a case out of Colorado. It's a big deal because the outcome will impact states shutting down the therapy at Christian counseling centers nationwide. CBS reporter Lori Levinson says it all comes down to whose rights are taken away.
There are cases throughout the nation in 28 states in which they've sought to ban this type of therapy. And the Supreme Court is going to step in to see if the states have this right, or in fact the doctors and the patients have their right to move forward with the therapy.
Focus on the Family's issues analyst Jeff Johnston.
I want people to know that God changes people, that leaving homosexuality is a possibility, and that we should have the freedom to do so.
Johnston was interviewed by CBS Mornings.
You know, the state has the right to limit any kind of therapy when there's some evidence that it can be harmful.
You know, I know there's some outrageous things that happen in life, like backpacks with rocks. I know that's horrific, but those are such wildly extreme examples. I have met dozens and dozens of people who have had deep change and deep transformation, and that's why we continue to advocate for their freedom.
A ruling is expected in June. Overseas, there is slaughter happening in Syria. More than 1,000 people, including many Christians, have been murdered there since Thursday under the new government.
There's one apartment building in a town called Banias where armed fighters came and went door to door. And at each door, they asked the person who answered, "What's your religion?" 6 men said Alawite, 1 man said Christian, and 1 man said Sunni Muslim. Only the Sunni Muslim was allowed to live. The rest were murdered.
Joel Veldkamp with Christian Solidarity International tells CBN the number of victims continues to grow rapidly.
It's almost certainly in the thousands by now. The list circulating of 717 names of Alawite Muslim civilians who were killed in the last few days, and that list was circulated on Saturday. It's now Monday, and the killings haven't stopped as far as we can tell.
The government says it's responding to attacks from remnants of Bashar al-Assad's forces. The FAA is on the scene in Pennsylvania today investigating a small plane crash that happened on Sunday. All 5 aboard survived the fiery wreckage, but 3 were taken to burn units.
Rescue 1, Lancaster Tower. The aircraft is down out just behind the terminal on the parking lot street area.
The plane took off from Lancaster Airport, had trouble with a door, and crash landed, then skidded 100 feet in the parking lot of a retirement community. Police speaking today.
At no point did the plane strike any part of the structure. All safety concerns have been addressed as far as the facility here and everyone that lives here.
Wall Street is tense this afternoon as concern grows over the impact of President Trump's tariffs. CBS reporter Nancy Cordes.
Stock markets all around the world are dipping today after the president's comments. The Chinese tariffs that are going into effect today, 15% tariffs on a lot of U.S. farm products. So we're talking about things like chicken, wheat, corn, soybeans, pork, beef.
President Trump says tariffs will create jobs and kickstart the U.S. economy and make us more competitive. Ontario, Canada says it's hiking the cost of electricity by 25% to 3 states. One of those states is New York. There was a little smack talk to the north today.
Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. So the Americans, they should make no mistake, in trade, as in hockey, Canada will win.
That is the voice of Mark Carney. He'll soon take over for Justin Trudeau, who held the post of Canadian Prime Minister for over a decade. Health update. Prominent evangelist and author John MacArthur posted a short but moving video on his church website this weekend, apologizing for being unable to attend a conference hosted by his California-based Grace Community Church. The influential 85-year-old pastor is home recovering from a weeks-long hospital stay for heart, lung, and kidney ailments.
I realize I'm on the last lap. That takes on a new meaning when you know you're on the short end of the candle. But I am all thanks and praise to God for everything He's allowed me to be a part of.
And Disney just announced their new animated series has an openly Christian character for the first time in almost 2 decades. The series is called Win or Lose and features stories of 8 characters as they each prepare for their big championship softball game. It includes a character named Lori who's facing self-doubt, so she turns to God in prayer, asking Him to give her strength, saying, quote, "I have faith, but sometimes doubt creeps in." The last time Disney made a reference to Christianity was in the 2007 film Bridge to Terabithia. Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, an update on the prison workers' strike in New York. 5 people fell through the ice near Rochester today, and Narcan coming to a high school near you in Pennsylvania. Those stories after weather with Kevin Williams.
A terrific Tuesday is on tap. A spring fever warning is in effect. Mildest we've seen perhaps this year for parts of the area. Skies tonight will be generally clear with starlight and moonlight. Low temps 30s and low 40s. On Tuesday, high temperatures low to mid 60s, though cooler in the afternoon near the Great Lakes. A couple of rain showers for some late in the day and at night. On Wednesday, mostly cloudy and chillier with high temps 30s and 40s. A little rain-snow mix Wednesday night across portions of New York State.
Thank you, Kevin. Checking the stories making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. The jury's still out on whether enough New York State corrections officers returned to work today to meet the terms of a weekend offer by the state that required 85% of union members be back on the job today. Hundreds of guards returned to work Sunday, but there are still strikers at several state prison facilities today, including Collins, Elmira, and Attica. They say their job still isn't safe.
I do not feel that because of the safety and security of the facility, I am going to go in.
Rudy Pavlin is a retired corrections officer in the Albany area.
Nobody's out here having a good old time. The emotions are up, down. They just want this to end. They want to get back to their lives, get back to the job.
Today marks 3 weeks since that strike started. 6,000 New York National Guard members have been posted at state corrections facilities to maintain security during the strike. 5 people fell through the ice into Braddock Bay on Lake Ontario near Rochester today. Emergency responders in the town of Greece say all 5 were brought to safety and treated for minor injuries. Authorities are urging people to stay off the ice as warming temperatures make it unsafe. A Pennsylvania politician has introduced legislation that requires Narcan in high schools. We get more from Family Life's Brian Query.
Pennsylvania State Representative Robert Freeman is pushing for high schools to stock naloxone, commonly known as Narcan, to combat the opioid crisis. His proposed bill, House Bill 803, would require schools to maintain a supply of the life-saving drug and train staff to administer it. Freeman emphasized the urgency, citing over 4,700 overdoses in Pennsylvania last year, 83% involving opioids. The bill, which includes legal protections for those administering naloxone, is now in the House Education Committee for consideration. Brian Query, Family Life News.
And there's an attendance crisis in public schools. The number of students K-12 who are chronically absent has doubled in the past 4 years. Now, 1 in 4 students miss a month of school a year. Our own Bob Price tackled the topic with Dr. Ralph Kerr in Issues in Education. Let's listen in.
Students who don't go to school, they fall behind academically. Their grades are lower, their test scores are less, and there's an increased risk of dropout for the students. So there's lots of impact on the students. There's an impact on the districts as well, and that's what surprises me the most, that districts haven't taken a more assertive way to deal with this, because attendance aid in New York and Pennsylvania is the largest form of aid that districts have, and if a student is not there, they don't get the aid. I think that schools particularly need to build relationships with the families. This is hard to do because many teachers are busy enough without asking them to do this, but certainly a phone call to the house, maybe in some circumstances even a visit to the family.
The PIAA, which is High School Sports Governing Authority, they're going to align their sports policy with the president's executive order that bans biological boys in girls' sports. This is a huge issue. However, the city of Philadelphia will continue to allow transgender athletes in girls' sports. Ralph, how do you think this little standoff will end?
They do have policy that says that transgender athlete boys can play on girls' teams and they can use the bathrooms and dressing rooms and all that stuff. But money speaks louder than policy at times, and the board in Philadelphia receive over $180 million in federal aid. There needs to be common sense on this issue and do away with those policies and do it soon.
That's Dr. Ralph Kerr. You can subscribe, listen to, and share Issues in Education and all of Family Life's original podcasts at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or at familylife.org. Time next for tonight's market report, brought to you by Faithward Advisors. Wall Street is closing deeply in the red as recession fears rattled markets. All three major indices finished sharply lower. At the final bell, the Dow Jones lost 890 points to 41,911. The S&P 500 fell 155 points to 5614, and the Nasdaq plunged 727 points to 17,468. Faithward Advisors is a Christian financial planning firm online at faithwardadvisors.com.
English philosopher Francis Bacon wrote, "Money is a great servant, but a bad master." Hi, I'm Rob West with your Faith and Finance Minute. Money can be a blessing or a curse, but you get to decide which. As believers, we must choose wisely and make a conscious decision. 1 Timothy 6 warns, "Those who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap, and into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil." But money can also be a great blessing. God modeled exactly how to break money's curse of greed with generosity. He gave us His only Son that we might spend eternity in heaven with Him. Giving is how we turn the curse of money into a blessing. We can help you learn to manage your money according to biblical principles when you download the free FaithFi app. You'll find it on our website at faithfi.com.
Coming up on the 5 o'clock report, what would you do if you worked in TV and were on the air when a tornado hit the building? It happened this morning in Florida. We're going to take you right inside the studio after a quick meetup with our own meteorologist, safe and sound in 60-degree New York and Pennsylvania. It is Kevin Williams.
The hint of spring in the air today, and it'll be a little more spring-like weather tomorrow. But the arrival of a cold front will change that midweek with much chillier air on Wednesday. Some of us will see some snow Wednesday night before it warms back up again, heading toward the weekend. For tonight, mainly clear. There'll be some starlight, some moonlight. We drop into the 30s and 40s. Tomorrow will be a mild, breezy day with some sunshine, high temperatures breaking 60 for many, but with a later day shower in parts of western and central New York. On Wednesday, mostly cloudy, colder. High temps, 30s near Lake Ontario, 40s near 50 in Pennsylvania. A little rain-snow mix for parts of New York State Wednesday night.
All right, finally at 5. Sorry, Kevin, but this guy just might get Meteorologist of the Year. At about 10 o'clock this morning in Seminole County, Florida, Fox 35 Orlando's weather studios took a direct hit from a tornado while they were on the air.
We're in a fortified room here. Can we swing the camera right? Is the camera still working? Frozen. It's frozen. Okay, so we lost our Lake Mary cam. Okay. I've been doing this for a very long time. That's the first time a tornado has hit me while I'm doing the weather. Thank goodness for our facilities here at Fox 35 to keep us on the air and keep you apprised of the situation. Jessica, what are you seeing right now?
You still see a little bit of debris. It's right behind you, Brooks.
Meteorologist Brooks Garner keeping it cool while live as the tornado pounded the building, even dropping a tree on the roof. Brooks said no spotter required for this one. The meteorologist saw it in person.
This is a real life situation here, okay? Obviously, we're tracking a confirmed tornado. We just had debris hit the building. We heard it on the roof. Trees, branches, who knows what. It could strengthen up. It could get stronger. It's heading right into Lake Mary right now. I can tell you myself that this is a real tornado.
The whole staff walked away unharmed, but give that guy a few mental health days off. Pretty incredible to continue broadcasting with a tornado hitting the building. And that's the world that we live in for Monday, the 10th of March. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.